Ronald, Nathanael. Welcome, dude. I'm so happy to meet you. I met Ronald. Did I ever meet? I don't know. Maybe I met him once, but did not speak to him much in India. But Ronald, let me intro Ronald. I've been bad at intros. So Ronald is, well, at least as far as I know him, he's like a famous heavy metal guitarist, like a really, really good guitarist. Played with one of the most recognized bands in Madras, a respected heavy metal guitarist. I think he teaches guitar now as well, offers guitar lessons. And most recently, Ronald completed his Ph.D, which is I watched his Ph.D journey on Facebook, the struggles, the woes, the joys, and Ronald's a really interesting dude. He has some interesting family values, and just love to get to know Ronald today. Ronald, tell us about. Correct me if I was wrong about anything. If you don't play heavy metal, and if you play like K-pop, just correct me. Let me know who you are.
Yeah, this is
dude.
like a new K-pop band. Yeah, thank you for having me on, Conrad. Great to talk to you on here. Yeah, we met once when you visited India a couple of years ago. That was when Eddie brought you to one of Blood Covenant's practice sessions, which was happening like early in the morning. It shows you how dedicated we used to be. We would do that like high energy, like pumping metal, and then I'd go and sit at like a desk job after that. So yeah, I grew up in Chennai only. How far do you want me to go?
Yeah, tell us about
So-
Ronald, present day Ronald, and we'll go backwards.
Sure. So at the moment, I'm freelancing as a scientific writer. So I've completed like one project. It's worked out pretty good. Getting new clients is, that's a tough part, especially in
Yeah.
a country like India.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I don't play in a band. I quit the live scene, I think in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So after COVID happened, lots of responsibilities changed and lots of goals changed. So after that, I played in like a worship band for 2 years, and I'm not doing that either now. So I'm just doing what I like to do, which is teach.
What is the scientific papers you helped write? In what
No,
field?
I helped somebody write their entire thesis, their
Okay.
entire PhD thesis. It's not like I ghost wrote it or anything. They just
Okay.
give me all the data. Scientific writing is like they give you all the data,
Yeah.
and then you just like arrange it for them, and then you there's a lot of back and forth, right? So
Yeah.
once it's completed, then they go for like the next step, which is like proofreading and submission. And
So they just give you like very, very rough draft, and you kind of formulate and you tell the story pretty much.
Yeah. I
And
can't
what
tell you like the whole thing, but it
Yeah,
was in dengue. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it was in so the topic was dengue in like new construction sites. So that's where dengue spreads the most.
In new construction sites?
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
is that? What's the
Because so in places like India, what happens? We have monsoon. We have like very funny seasons, right? We have summer and then monsoon,
Yeah.
and then like 1 month of supposedly winter,
Yeah.
and then summer again. So during that time, what happens? All these construction workers, they leave all the equipment and everything, and they go back to their hometowns, right? So at that time, there's a lot of places where they accumulate water, and they store water so that they can like use it. But then when monsoon slowly comes around the corner, they just leave everything water stagnant for a very long time. So that's what enables the mosquitoes to breed.
Really? Wow. So is these kind of studies being published in like scientific journals and
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the person who I helped is actually a high-ranking government official. So he got he's actually I don't even mind saying he's like the vector control officer for the chief vector control officer for Chennai Corporation. So he's in charge of like the entire operations of controlling vectors, which is malaria and like
Okay.
and dengue. Right, filaria is not so common in Chennai. Because and another thing, to get filaria, you'll have to be bitten by the mosquito like many times. You'll have to get like repeated infections, and then you slowly develop filariasis. But dengue is the most dangerous one, because for malaria you have a drug, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for dengue, there's no vaccine, there's no medication basically, because it's a
Yeah.
virus, right?
Yeah.
Even if you develop something, it's going to
Yeah.
mutate, and then you won't have any defense against it.
Yeah. What's the difference between so malaria is not a what is malaria then if it's not a virus?
So malaria is a parasite.
Oh really?
It's a parasite.
Help us, Ronald. Clearly,
So a
explain.
parasite, yeah.
Yes.
So a parasite is basically an organism that can live off another organism by basically feeding off it.
Okay.
Right. So a virus is different. A virus attaches to your cell,
Yeah.
and then what it does is it breaks down the cell wall, and then it changes the genetic material inside. From DNA, it converts it into RNA. Just I'm giving you like the simplest explanation.
Yes. Simplest.
Yeah.
Explain it like I'm
Yeah.
4.
So yeah, that's how it works. And like, so a parasite needs a host to survive.
Okay.
But the virus doesn't need a host to survive. But it needs a host to like develop and to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then once it emerges, like so yeah. So how it works is there are two kinds of two. Let me be very scientific because I know
Yes,
how many
yes.
people are going to be watching. So there are
Yes.
two species of mosquitoes. One is the genus is called Aedes. Aedes aegypti is like the most common one, which people all like usually know about, and the other one is Aedes albopictus. So Aedes albopictus used to be a mosquito that usually feeds on like cattle and livestock and things like that. But now what has happened, Chennai, so now it's become the Greater Chennai Corporation, right? So initially it was till Guindy.
Hmm.
You remember like those days it was
Yeah.
till Guindy, and then beyond Guindy, people will be afraid to come at night,
Yeah.
right? So but now it's like it's gone almost till Peringlatur, and they are even thinking about extending it even further.
Hmm.
Now, so what has happened now because of urbanization in like the uttermost parts of Chennai, Aedes albopictus has also become like a main vector for
Okay.
dengue. Yeah.
Okay.
So the key difference between both, I'll tell you.
Yes.
I think so. Aedes aegypti has tiger stripes.
Okay.
If you look at it, you'll know the legs on the mosquito will have like white and black stripes on it. Albopictus has 3 distinct lines on the forehead, and that's how you'll know which is which. And another thing,
Yes.
aegypti is a passive biter. They call it a passive biter.
What is
So
that?
if you like shoo it away, it'll go away and it'll find another person to like bite, and then
Okay.
but albopictus is called an aggressive biter. So if it decided it wants to bite you, it'll bite you that night.
I like that persistence.
Yeah.
There's probably some lesson. People in
Yeah,
life
yeah, yeah.
be active biters.
Exactly. Yeah.
Your success rate is going to be much higher.
Yeah.
The passive biters probably are the procrastinators.
So
Dude,
why? So the question is, why does the mosquito need to bite, right?
Yeah.
Like what happens? Like the mosquito needs a blood meal for its eggs to develop.
Hmm.
And what happens? The virus, because of the blood meal, it rests in the abdomen
Wait,
of the
what is
mosquito.
a blood meal? What do you mean blood meal?
When it bites you, a blood meal.
Blood
Like when
meal.
it bites you,
Okay.
it gets a meal, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So when it bites you, the blood that it takes from you, it uses to develop its eggs. Right. And the virus grows in the eggs of the mosquito. And then what happens? They need water to go and like oviposit the eggs. Oviposition is when an insect goes and sits on something and releases the eggs, basically. Just a very simple example. So what happens is when it does that, the eggs are capable of being dormant for almost 2 years.
Really? Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have like an old bucket in your garden,
Yeah.
and then it's empty, if the mosquito laid its eggs on the rim of the bucket, it can lay dormant for 2 years, and then when you fill that bucket, the larva will emerge, and then that's how the virus starts spreading.
Oh,
So when
dang.
that
Okay.
mosquito, which has the egg, in its system, when it bites somebody, that's when they get dengue.
So it's not biting us for food. It's not using blood as food. It's not like a vampire. It's using it to
I
more
mean,
for its
yeah,
eggs, right?
no, it's for both basically. But
Okay.
it needs the eggs to like procreate and like
Yeah.
spread its kind
Yeah.
more and more, right? So that's the reason why it's doing that.
Yeah. Oh, dang. Learned so much about mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So is that what your PhD was? What did you do your PhD in?
No, mine was actually in an insect called the praying mantis.
Okay. Why did you
Uh,
choose that?
so
Because you're a Christian?
no, no, no. I'll tell you why. So initially, what I wanted to do was I was working in a pest control firm, and I wanted to do my PhD where basically I wanted to do my research where I developed like a biopesticide against like cockroaches, because I used to visit a lot of most of our clients were like these 5-star hotels, and then dude, I'm not going to reveal names.
Yeah, yeah.
If you saw what I saw, you would not eat in any of those places.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, it's that bad. So that's what I wanted to do, and then my research supervisor specializes in entomology, and so he was like, cockroaches is a very common topic. Why don't you look into like praying mantids? And then when I actually looked into the research done with praying mantids, like the last major research work that was done on these insects was in like 1995 or something like that,
Really?
and it was like Tamil Nadu wide.
Hmm.
And after that,
This
nobody is, yeah.
this praying I've never seen a praying mantis in
Yeah.
Madras. I did not know they were native to
No, they exist in like tropical.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Continue to
So
tell, yeah.
yeah, so then I was like, okay, it's similar to the interview that you did with the professor recently, right? She was saying that on the study of Anglo-Indians, there was a very broad study done, but she wanted to go to like individual people, and
Yeah.
that's how it is for my study as well. Because some people just wherever they cited the praying mantis, they would say Tamil Nadu, the such and such date, and that's what it was. But now what I've done is I actually picked 3 villages in Velo district. So I visited the villages like fortnightly, and then started like collecting samples and things like that. And so now by doing studies like this, what happens if somebody wants to do like even further? So what I did was called biodiversity.
Okay.
Biodiversity. So that's basically when you take an area and you study the different species of that insect,
Yeah.
right? And then you compare like the numbers and see like which area has more of which, so that you can tell the people, okay, if you want to find this insect, go here at such and such time and you'll find it.
Got it.
Right, because that's the most difficult thing, because I really struggled in the beginning, Conrad. They have something called specialized adaptation. So basically they merge in with their background, camouflage basically. They
Yeah.
merge in with
Okay.
their background so well that you wouldn't even know where they are. Like they would literally look like a twig or like a piece of grass, and then unless you go like really nearby, get to the ground, like lie down on the ground and like
Yeah.
shake the bushes, and
Yeah.
that's how you know that they're there. And that's how I started finding them. And there's like a
So
pattern also. There's like a timing.
oh, really?
Yeah, like evening from like 3 o'clock to like 7 o'clock, they're like super happy, frolicking about and all that. If you go in the morning, you won't find them.
So how did you find? Basically, someone else did some broad research, so you knew you had some starting point,
Yeah.
and then but
Yeah.
you're helping narrow it down to get
Yeah.
focused. So the next person after you can just pick
Yeah.
up your papers and say, okay, I know exactly this bush in this
Yeah.
corner. There's
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least 5 praying mantis.
That's
Okay.
the gist of it. Yeah, basically.
Okay. I'm
So,
probably dumbing it
because
down too much.
like beyond, see, what I did was, like I said, biodiversity studies.
Yeah.
But then if people want to actually sequence the DNA of the praying mantis, they should know where to go and find it, right? So
Yeah.
this makes it easier for them.
Yeah. What does so did you are you, first of all, you're not freaked out by bugs? Like will you touch them with your hand? Will you don't freak
I mean, the only thing I'm freaked out of are flycatchers.
really?
Geckos. Yeah. I hate those things, dude. Just the color and the way they walk around.
So if a roach walks on your, crawls on
No,
your
I don't care.
hand,
I don't care. So I'll tell you what. Like when we did masters, one of the not masters, even from like my 10th standard, not 10th, sorry, my 11th and 12th standard,
yeah.
dissection was not illegal back then. You actually
Hmm.
had to do dissection. So
Hmm.
they'll basically just give you like a bottle full of cockroaches, and we like take a cockroach and like dissect
Are these
the
live ones
digestive
or like?
system. Yeah, live ones,
Okay.
live ones. So dissect the digestive system or the nervous system or whatever, So it's those that
Yeah.
way they didn't scare me. We even did like rats when we were in school, but now they've
What the
totally
heck?
outlawed everything. Yeah, yeah,
Outlaw the live dissection, right? But you can
yeah,
buy.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
No, now they just show you like videos on the screen.
Oh, really? See, my
Yeah.
kids, we have dissection. My kids have to do it, but you can buy like a preserved roach. It's not live,
Oh, okay.
so it's not
No,
outlawed.
they would literally give us the formaldehyde and say snuff it now and start.
Ah, really? So it's
Yeah.
completely. How are people going to study if the dissection is made
I mean,
illegal?
that's why science was more valuable back then, I would say, Conrad, because you actually had to learn how to do things.
Yeah.
I would actually carry like a stinky dissection box in my bag. I would hate it, you know. But then that's what you had to do.
Did any of the dissection lead to any interesting heavy metal lyrics?
Unfortunately, not. I was not too much into. So I was just getting into metal back then.
Yeah.
2002. I was probably into like Slipknot or something like
Okay.
that
Okay.
back then.
We'll
So yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
we'll definitely, definitely dive back into the whole PhD and obviously, Ronald. I think you still have a YouTube channel. I know on Facebook at least you post
I do. I
videos.
do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
if you're interested in all of this in all of his work, he teaches. He's a really good teacher, as you heard. He just explained it. If I can understand it, most people can. He teaches about insects. He knows a lot. He's passionate about it. First of all, he can make cockroaches sound interesting.
Yeah.
But he does not. So praying mantises. So what did you discover? Did you find out anything new? Maybe I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Like,
I found like one new species,
oh,
which is yeah. So throughout the world, there's like 2,300 species.
Okay.
Okay, and then in Tamil Nadu, there's like 44.
Hmm.
Right. So the one that I found, the genus is the same.
Okay.
But this like species on the species level, it differs a little bit. So what we use are called keys. They're called.
What's a What do you mean genus?
So I'll tell you. So animals are classified in a certain way, right? So you have kingdom, phylum.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too
Sure.
deep
Sure.
into
Yeah.
that. So how it works is like, for example, we are Homo sapiens. The
Yeah.
genus is Homo, and sapiens is the species.
Okay.
The genus level is, so for example, tiger,
Okay.
right? So there's so many different tigers, but how do you differentiate the different tigers? That's how that's on the species level. You give
Okay.
them like different
Okay.
names that way.
So genus
Yeah.
is like a top level category, and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else. Okay.
I mean, so those are like the last two. The
Okay.
genus and the species are like the last two.
Got it.
Species being like the final. There's nothing more.
Okay.
More than
So
that.
if you work bottom up, it'll go
Yeah.
like species, then
Yeah.
genus, and then the
genus,
larger
and then yeah,
Okay.
and then you'll go order, and then above that you'll go phylum,
Got
and
it.
then you'll go maybe like kingdom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you found a new species.
I did.
Okay. Awesome.
I
Did you
did.
get to name it or?
No. I haven't gone right. So unfortunately, my PhD took like a turn for the worst.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about that as we go along.
Yeah,
So my supervisor went and kind of got into a tiff with like the university, with like the college that I was working in. So that delayed my submission a lot. So because of that, I kind of lost interest in like actually going and trying to.
Oh, really?
I should actually. I have all the details.
Yeah.
I should. The thing is, I'll have to probably go and collect like a new species, because they expect you to like. So there's something called insect dry mouth. Okay, so when you find an insect that you want to basically name or whatever,
Yeah.
you have to like once it dies, you have to like spread it out like on a paper or like on a chart or something,
Okay.
and then you'll have to add a tag there where it says what was the location that you found it, what was the date and time, right? And then you'll take like this tiny little pin and then you'll stick it right in the middle. So
Yeah.
basically insects are divided into three parts, right? Like your head, thorax, and abdomen.
Yeah.
So in the thorax you'll pin it onto the paper or whatever, cardboard or whatever, and then you'll send it to them. So you literally have to like spread the wings and all that.
Yeah.
So that there are certain people that are called experts within the praying mantis field and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they'll actually go through. There's something called taxonomic keys.
Okay.
So that's how you actually identify an insect. You can't just look at, for example, you can look at a butterfly, and then you can say this is like the monarch butterfly or whatever, right? The different names. But for the praying mantis, you actually have to look at it under a microscope.
Okay.
And then you have to like really look at like different aspects. Like for example, I'll tell you. So the forelegs are called raptors, okay, because they're able to like literally grab onto the prey. So the specialty about the praying mantis is it doesn't have any toxic secretions or anything, unlike like spiders. So spiders basically inject the toxin into the prey, and then they eat. Once the prey is like neutralized, they eat it. But the praying mantis, it's able to turn its head 180 degrees. Okay, and it's extremely stealthy. Okay. So
how fast can it turn its head? Is it like a slow or is it like a rapid?
It'll look super daft if you look at it, okay? But then I don't know. It probably looks very intimidating to like the prey when it's looking at this like giant alien head looking at it. Yeah. But then so it's able to do that, and it's able to turn its body also. It doesn't even need to turn like fully. It just turns its torso, and then it grabs onto the prey and just immediately starts eating it.
Huh? What does it eat?
Usually soft-bodied insects. So in the wild, it can be anything from like caterpillars or like wild cockroaches. Or whatever, They don't prefer beetles because they're not able to get through the shell. The chitin. So beetles have like a very hard membrane called chitin, which forms like a protective layer for them. So that's why they're not able to break down into that. But even dragonflies and butterflies also.
Yeah. And beetles can get gnarly looking. I've seen some beetles. They're just that super gnarly. They can be super, like almost like little turtles.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially the rhinoceros beetle.
Yes.
That one looks crazy. Yeah.
So why do they bite the heads off? What's the motivation?
Oh, right. So what happens is that phenomenon is called sexual cannibalism.
Yeah.
Okay. So when the male and the female are copulating or mating, it totally depends on the nutritional state of the female. It's not an always occurrence.
It's not always?
No, it's not always. It's not always.
Okay.
So if she's super hungry and she didn't have a snack before they get together, then this dude is dead. So that's how it works. Yeah, they need the protein basically to lay the eggs. That's the reason why they.
I feel like this is important information for male praying mantises to know, right? Yeah. How can we start some education? Hey, take her out for like dinner first or something if you want to live.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe hand her some pamphlets in whatever language they.
No, basically they need the protein basically. So immediately after copulation, what happens? The female starts laying eggs.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and the egg is called an ootica. It's initially it comes out as a frothy substance. So most insects have an ovipositor. So most insects will have like a host plant which they go and lay their eggs into. But praying mantises don't have that. Whatever's available, whatever twig or branch or leaf or whatever, they oviposit on that. And so it comes out as a frothy substance with like hundreds of mantids inside. And so once it gets itself exposed to air, it's called an ootica. And I think within depends on each species. So it depends from species to species. Once the ootica is fully mature, the small the nymphs start emerging. It's called emerging.
Oh, really?
They literally come out like little infantry from the.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so what happens as soon as they come out, they start eating each other.
They eat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're super predatory, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
So yeah, out of that, I think maybe like 30-40% is what will survive, and then out of that, some will get eaten by bigger prey. So the life of a praying mantis is kind of a difficult life cycle, especially if they need to find a mate and
Yeah. Yeah.
procreate and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much, do they live long after they procreate, after they lay eggs, or do they lay eggs multiple times, or is it just once in the lifetime?
I think it's just once.
Yeah.
I think it's just once. But usually the lifespan is the bigger ones live for like 6 to 8 months, and like
Really?
the tinier ones are like maybe 6 weeks, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
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 Is there anything else like that in the wild? Any other insects that's closely related to the prey with the cannibalistic?
I mean, the only closest thing that I can think of is like sharks that
Mm,
kind of eat themselves, eat each other in the womb itself.
dang.
Yeah, sharks literally feed on themselves in the womb.
In the womb
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
itself?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Holy cow! What?
So, so there are only like you can't call these two related because they are from different
Sure.
orders.
Sure.
There's the mantis shrimp, which also has like raptors, I guess, and then there's another one that's called the mantis fly.
Hmm.
It's more related to a dragonfly. It belongs to the order Neuroptera, but mantis belong to the order Mantodia. So it's two different orders altogether, but these are the only ones that have like raptors.
Oh, so I'm hearing the word mantis. So just mantis is a species, and then there's a praying mantis and a mantis fly. Is it
No,
all
no,
the
no. I'll
same?
tell you what. I'll tell you what. So praying mantis is like a common name.
Okay. Oh God.
It's also called the European praying mantis or
Okay.
the European mantis. The scientific name is Mantis religiosa.
Okay.
Okay, those are what people usually like within the scientific community. Those are what are called praying mantis
Got it. Okay.
because that's the common name for that. Okay, so
Got it.
there are other names. For example, a common name, the unicorn mantis or the boxer mantis, the orchid mantis. They
Okay.
literally look like an orchid flower.
Really? Oh
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. Then there's another one. It's called the wandering violin mantis. When so they have something called mimicking. The behavior is called mimicking, where they would literally mimic their surroundings. You would
Hmm.
not be able to make out
Hmm.
if you just look at them with a casual glance.
Dude, I haven't. I need to look up all these things. That sounds
Yeah,
fascinating. Do they
I wish
behave
maybe we
the
can like
same
share
way?
some pictures. I can share some pictures with you.
I'm not sure if we can share screen, but share when we're done. I'll put it
Yeah,
up
yeah,
in
yeah.
as we
Sure.
talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but they don't behave the same way as a praying mantis in the sense they're not cannibalistic.
No, most of them are. Like
Oh,
all the
really?
mantids are. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
yeah. All the
really?
mantids are. Yeah. So even among species, they would like eat each other and things like that. They would have
Hmm.
face-offs, and then they would eat each other. So they exhibit certain behaviors where they would actually literally. It's basically like the New Zealand what's it called, haka, when they dance before like the
Yeah.
football game. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So something similar to that. These things would literally like open their wings out, and they would do that, and they would move around, try to intimidate.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
wild.
yeah, yeah,
Dude, yes, I want to see that. If
yeah.
there's a video, even yes, I'll look it up, or you can send me one.
Sure,
That's
sure, sure, sure. Or else there's another behavior. It's called thanatosis. Okay, where they pretty much like what an opossum does.
okay.
When an opossum shows itself like it's dead, right?
Yeah.
So these things will literally drop on the floor, and you'll think it's dead. It'll actually have its limbs like in the air stiff,
Oh,
and
really?
you'll actually think it's dead. But then
Yeah.
after a few minutes, it'll start moving around and things like that.
Dude,
So these
I
are
would
these
do
are
that
called
too.
these are called the defense mechanisms.
Mm. What a wild. How did you get into what? Did you have any crazy pets when you were growing up? What drove you to?
No, dude, I just had like cats. I just had a cat called Mickey.
That's it.
Yeah.
So what drove you? What was your interest? Were you in school when you were when you started
I'll
teaching?
tell you
Yeah.
what drove me into science is my absolute hatred for math. So, so
Okay.
I maybe it was me, maybe it was the teachers. I don't want to blame anyone.
Sure.
but you know how the Indian educational system is, right? They
Yeah.
only teach the ones that are sitting in the front bench.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they say understood, they wipe the board and they go about the next summer. I'm like, I didn't understand, ma'am. What were you talking about?
Yeah.
You know. So, but when I was closer to like the eighth, ninth grade, 10th grade,
Yeah.
I kind of realized I liked biology a lot. How I realized that was when the science teacher was teaching about Mendel's experiments, genetic experiments with
Yeah.
peas,
Mm.
and then she would give the sum, right? So he did an experiment called the monohybrid cross and another one called the dihybrid cross. And so basically, he would take two varieties of peas, and then he would cross them, and then he would study like all the different variations that came from that. And then I realized that I was really good at studying that. And then I actually started going and asking my science teacher for doubts and things. So that's when I
Mm.
realized, okay, I'm really really good at science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fascinating, dude. It's amazing, right? When a teacher takes an interest in you and sees your value. I was the same. I wasn't a good student, um,
I
but there was
wasn't
this,
either. I wasn't
but
either. See, for me, it's about understanding what they're teaching.
yeah,
I don't want to like vomit what you're like read the book
yeah,
and vomit it on the paper, right? I
yeah,
want to actually learn the concepts of science,
yeah,
like who discovered the cell for the very first time,
yeah,
how did they discover it, what equipment did they use. I
yeah,
want to like that's what like drives me,
yeah,
rather than saying so and so discovered the cell in this date.
yeah,
He's the one who identified like who made the
yeah,
microscope.
yeah,
More than that, like the concept is like what I want to get into.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand, like Indian schools probably have like 70 students per class as well.
Yeah, yeah,
You
it's
know,
that too. Yeah.
So, but I think having a spark, somebody just light a
Yeah,
fire is good
exactly.
enough to get you
Yeah,
started. And then
exactly.
you're
Yeah,
self motivated.
yeah.
Clearly that was the case in you. So tell us, dude, where did you? You're a Madras native, right? Were your parents Madras natives as well?
Okay, so I'll tell you. So my mom kind of grew about like in different places because actually me and my dad, I guess, because both my grandparents were like central government servants.
Okay.
Like my dad's dad was the undersecretary to the governor
Okay.
in Tamil Nadu. So he literally grew up in like Raj Bhavan.
Mm.
That was like where he grew up, and that's
Oh,
where he
really?
like played. And yeah.
Huh.
And my mom's dad was an assistant collector customs, so he had to like move around a lot and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
mom moved around Kerala, Trichy, but for the most part, I think they stayed in Chennai only.
Okay. Did
Yeah.
you was this before you were born, or
Yeah.
did you have to move around
No. This was
early on?
when
Okay.
they were like kids. Yeah, before they
Got
met
it.
each other.
Okay.
Things like that. Yeah.
You're talking your
Yeah.
grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about so your mom and dad kind of met in Madras, or at least grew up, for the most part you grew up in Madras at
Yeah,
least. That's
yeah.
where you. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, dude. Which part of Madras did you grow up in?
So for the most part, we've been in Palavaram.
Okay.
We are I was born in like Ayanavaram because my parents were
I
living
never.
there at that time.
No way,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. Ayanavaram ESI Hospital, just past HPI. Yeah.
Huh. Hilarious. I did not
Yeah.
know that. So you're
Yeah.
what's your ties with Ainavaram? How old were
No,
you?
no, no. I think pretty much after I was born,
Okay.
maybe like a month or two after that, then they
Okay.
moved back to
Yeah.
Palavaram. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my granddad was like, bring the child here. I want to see him and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Like Ainavaram, Palavaram is. Help me. Is Palavaram and the airport kind of close, right? Is that no?
Yeah.
Am I-
So
Okay.
the airport is close to Tirusulam, and then the next
Okay.
stop is Palavaram.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that and where is St. Thomas Mount in relation to that?
So it is Palavaram, Tirusulam, Palavantangal, and then I think Mount. I don't know. I haven't been in a train
Okay.
in a very long time. So I think it's about 4 or 5 stops from
Okay.
Palavaram. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think the dengue outbreak has there been a recent one, and do you think it's because of all the whatever that train system they are building, is that related?
Yeah. There's I think there's a lot of correlation between that. So what has happened now, it is I was talking to a friend from the Corporation of Madras, and she was saying it's no longer like a seasonal thing now. So dengue used to be like monsoon thing,
Yeah.
when only when monsoon comes about, people would get it. But now it's like whenever you get bitten by, like,
Yeah.
because it's prevalent now. It's not only one species right now, so it's two species spreading the.
Yeah.
And so there are four. They call them serotypes. So there are four strands of virus
Yeah.
that spread dengue. So yeah.
So how effective it is, do you think? Or do you think we have effective, like, to stop the mosquito from biting you, right? I know they have all the creams and all that. Is it really effective, and what's in it that repels the mosquito?
So how success
Yeah.
will be achieved is if people stop storing stagnant water.
Okay.
Most people don't even know. See, like, for people that live in the outskirts of the city, they probably have like a tire or two lying around in the backyard, and then it'll rain and the water will like stagnate in that, or they'll have like an old paint tin or whatever, that they've not thrown away. So if people need to like be alert that way and get rid of all the stagnant water. But now what happened was, dengue, so the mosquito that spreads dengue is Aedes. Aedes needed clean water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they need clean, fresh water to basically lay the eggs and emerge. Well, for the eggs to emerge, right? Culex is the mosquito that spreads filariasis, and Culex will even lay its eggs in dirty water. So what has happened now, the Aedes has actually adapted itself where it's able to emerge even from dirty water now.
Dang.
So that's another issue.
Yeah.
So what happens is I think, see, how much can the government do? There's so much a population. How many places can they go and spray pesticide and things like that? Or else, if people have the means, they should probably call like pest control and then spray the pesticide and clear out the stagnant water situation and things like that.
Yeah, but I think the easy thing is to, like, everybody can do, right? Even if you have one hand, just go out and like dump the water out.
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
start. That's like that sounds like 70% of the solution.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that should be like the government can start broadcasting.
Yeah.
That, like, hey.
No, the government tells people every year.
Oh, really?
This is India, dude. Come on.
Do you still have that machine that goes on the road and just like bombs
the
whole neighborhood?
So
really?
that's called fogging.
Yeah.
Fogging. So that'll only last for like a few seconds, right? It'll repel the mosquito for a little while and then they come back. I forgot to tell you this. It only
repels, it doesn't kill.
It doesn't kill. Only the pesticides will kill the kill the mosquito. Oh, wow. Okay. What was that?
I think it picked up my hand action.
Oh, right.
If I do like thumbs up, right?
Right. Yeah. So what was I saying? That kind of threw me off a little bit.
Something about two actions: that kills and repels.
Yeah. So only the pesticide will kill the larva.
Okay.
So within the insect family, there are two types. Okay. I'm like oversimplifying here.
Yeah.
So there's one that has something called complete metamorphosis, and what that means is the young one will look completely different from what the adult looks like. Right.
Okay.
So the life cycle goes like this. It starts with the egg, and then you have larva, and then you have pupa, and then adult. So it's like a complete life cycle. So butterflies exhibit something called complete metamorphosis.
Okay. Yeah.
Then there's something called incomplete metamorphosis, where the young ones will actually look just like the adults, but size and wings wise they'll differ.
Okay.
So once they become adults, they produce wings and the size increases.
Okay.
Right. So mosquitoes have egg, larva, pupa, and adult. So if you kill the larva, then they don't spread.
Okay. Yeah.
That happens with it's called a larvicide. So
Okay.
when they spray the pesticide into the water, it basically kills the larva. Yeah. So
Dang.
this is a key thing. Let me tell you. So both these buggers are able to fly to a distance of almost 400 meters. Yeah, yeah,
Dang.
400
Really?
meters. Yeah, and it depends on like the land breeze and the sea breeze.
Sure.
So if they're
Sure.
closer to where the sea is, they can travel even further and menace people even further away. So
Dang.
yeah,
How fast
yeah.
do they fly? Has anybody measured
I
the
mean, not
mosquitoes?
not that fast, but they use the wind basically,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
wind is blowing, they just
Yeah.
get carried away with the wind, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
That's crazy, man.
yeah,
So, yeah, I really am glad we got to talk about
yeah,
all of these things because it's really
yeah,
fascinating, and I
yeah,
think it really highlights what you've been into, right?
yeah.
So are you still so 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 this is what you do. You're really fascinated. So all your research work that you help write is all around insects, pretty much, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
entomology basically.
Entomology. Okay.
Study of insects. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. What else did you help write other than the roaches and the have you worked on any other
Excuse
papers?
me. No. So this thing itself took about 2 years to
Oh,
complete.
oh,
It's a
dang,
it's a
really?
it's a big
Yeah,
project. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I
So
can
yeah,
imagine. Yeah,
yeah.
because
I kind of yeah.
by
Go
you
ahead.
explaining the process, right? It definitely
Yeah,
is
yeah,
scientific and it takes time
yeah.
and right. So you have to be if you're publishing a
Exactly.
paper that's going
Yeah.
to come under uh,
It's
people
actually
are
not a paper, but like a doctoral thesis itself.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of eyeballs, a lot of scrutiny,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and you have to have your work buttoned up, so it
Yeah. Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
be
yeah.
right.
Exactly.
Dang, that's a lot of work.
So I had like sleepless nights with my thesis,
Yeah,
and then when I helped this person, I had even more sleepless nights writing this thing. But it's fun, I like to sit
yes,
and
yeah. Do what you love, man. I'm glad there are a lot of things that I don't love, but I'm glad somebody else loves doing it.
yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the world needs all those types of people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know, because I think your work with if you do some more work with mosquitoes, it's going to help millions of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, praying mantises is what's the plural? Is it praying mantises or manti?
Mantids.
Mantids.
Yeah. Mantids. Yeah. So the singular is mantid, and the plural is mantids.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Fascinating, dude. So what shirt are you wearing? It's like any. Tell us about the
So
shirt.
this is a Christian band from the US. I don't know where exactly they're from. So are you familiar with the band Crimson Thorn?
Not Crimson Thorn, no.
Okay, so they were like an early Christian brutal death metal band that kind of sounded similar to like Suffocation,
Okay.
like back in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So the bassist and vocalist from there formed this band. It's called Taking the Head of Goliath. I don't think they're in playing anymore. I don't think they're active anymore. Yeah, I used to buy merch from bands directly back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Before COVID, I didn't mind spending the money to support the
Yeah.
band. Yeah, because why wouldn't you get it from the band directly? You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
literally pack it themselves and send it
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but then after COVID, what happened was I stopped getting packages and things like that. So I started getting wary of like ordering international after that. So
Yeah.
this is pretty much, I think, the last one that I got. There's
Yeah.
another cool website. It was called Metal Helm, where they had like every like Christian band imaginable. They had like T-shirts.
Yeah.
And then I would look at my bank account and like, how many T-shirts can I afford this month? So yeah. And there's another one. It's called Nordic Mission. They're from Norway. So I used to order from them as well. Yeah.
Dang, that sounds like Nordic Mission. Are they a Christian band as well?
Yeah. No, they're like a Zine where
Okay.
they pretty much put out like with the band's permission, they put out copies of the band's music and
Got it.
T-shirts in Norway and Scandinavia, basically.
Because I think I heard of like this metal church where they played like super heavy, like the worship was like a heavy.
Yeah.
That was probably some
Yeah.
Nordic country, I would imagine.
Yeah. It is. They're from somewhere from I think from Sweden, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I
I could
would
be wrong.
imagine.
Yeah.
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 So when did you get interested in guitar, or was that your first
Okay.
instrument even?
No, so I'll tell you, my dad used to play in the church when he got, my dad's a Brahmin basically.
Yeah.
He converted to Protestantism, and then he used to play in the church. He basically taught himself to play. He would play the organ and he would play the guitar. And he would try to teach me when I was young, but I was just like run away because he had like this jumbo guitar and like my hands wouldn't even reach over it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but he tried to teach me, but then I was not interested back then. I kind of got into guitar. I don't know. I just suddenly thought one day, what if I learned to play guitar?
Yeah.
It kind of happened like after I started listening to some more heavier forms of metal. I was like, okay, I have kind of some ideas in my mind. Why don't I learn to like replicate it on the instrument basically? And that's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, 2005, I told my aunt because we weren't very like super rich or anything back then.
Sure.
So my aunt was like, okay, what kind of guitar do you want? I'm like, I want an electric guitar.
Yeah.
So I didn't learn on the acoustic, but I actually learned on the electric. I got myself a Gibson Super Deluxe,
A
nice
Gibson.
and shiny one. Yeah. came with like came with its own hard case and things like that. It was a good guitar back then.
Yeah.
But dude, if I look at it now, like the fretboard looks like the craters on the
Does
board.
it look like a, what color was it?
It's a black one.
Ah, okay, nice.
Yeah. I was like super into. I don't know. I can't like shake the black guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought that, and then how I learned to play, I basically taught myself to play. So my uncle lived uh, in Oman, I guess, back then. So he used to bring like electronics when he comes. So he had like this nice Sanyo tape player, right? With nice, I think it was 250 watts RMS.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
250 watts
Yeah.
RMS
Yeah.
speakers. And then it had like a 1/4 inch jack input, right? So what I would do is I would basically plug it in and I would try to play. I basically started with like drop D.
Oh,
I
really?
think a friend of mine showed me like a small riff to the song.
Yeah.
What was it? Creed, My Sacrifice.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like the intro, he's like, put your
Yeah.
finger there and
Yeah.
then move your little finger there and then move
Yeah.
it back. So he just showed me that,
Yeah.
and then I would sit with the guitar, every day and just play. The very first song that I taught myself to play was a song called "Baptized in Fire." I think it was by a band called Hate. So what I would do is I learned I didn't know about like distortion or anything back then, right? So I plugged it in and then I noticed
Clean.
the guitar is not sounding right,
Yeah.
sounding weird. So I kind of cranked the volume and then dude, I got like overdrive from that and I was like, this is enough. I can actually practice with this. My grandmother would be in the other room, she'd shut the door and all that. So yeah.
Yeah. How loud would you have to crank that to get
I
it
mean,
distort?
almost
because-
like to 70% I would
Oh,
crank it.
dang.
And then,
Yeah.
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 Then
Man.
I would play. Yeah.
Playing metal on clean guitar. Fun.
Exactly, yeah.
Well,
And it was
hey,
like a single coil, dude. Imagine how it would sound even, yeah.
well, it probably taught you a lot of precision.
Yeah, it did. It did. It actually did.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And so what? Then I was like, I would connect with my cousin. He was into like more extreme forms of metal. He's from Canada. Then they moved to like Canada, right? So he would say, I was like, I'm learning to play the guitar and like I'm playing on
Yeah.
drop D. He's like, dude, don't play on drop D. Drop D is for posers. Play on B standard. That's where it's at. I'm like,
Yeah.
B standard, okay. I know what E standard is.
Yeah.
And then okay, let me try to figure this out. So I know that the second string is B, right? And so my dad basically taught me how to tune by ear. Like when you go on like the fifth fret of fifth
Yeah.
fret, fourth fret, fifth fret, right?
Yeah.
So now I know this is B. Let me tune, match the second string sound to the first string. So I got B. So and then by ear I would just tune it up, and that's how I actually learned B standard.
Dang, that's a lost art, man. Just
Yeah.
tuning your guitar,
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
It is, yeah.
Those clip-on tuners made it even worse.
Now Polytune has made it even worse. Now,
I know, right? The whole
thing in.
core.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Crazy, man. So
Yeah.
so early on, you started off playing guitar. You did not transition from like other kinds of music into metal in your guitar journey. At least you just straight away.
No, I
started
did.
learning?
I did. So when I was younger, I just used to listen to like whatever pop or rock was playing on like MTV. I would listen to like maybe like Savage Garden or something like that.
Okay.
The very first time I listened to like metal, like was I think maybe Metallica and Symphony. I was like 96. I'm not
Okay.
too sure. That's when I pretty
Yeah.
much remember
Yeah.
hearing metal on the
Yeah.
TV, right? And I'm like, okay, this sounds nice, but then let me just listen to what I'm listening to. I got into like a lot of P.O.D. and
Yeah.
then like Godsmack,
Yeah.
Crazy Train,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, right? And
Yeah.
then again, my cousin was like, dude, this stuff is gay. You should listen to this. And then he handed me like my introduction to metal itself was like with extreme metal only.
Oh, really?
He showed me like this band called Old Man's Child, which is like this symphonic black metal band. And then he showed me Cryptopsy, and then I was like, okay, I need to listen to this. Yeah.
Man, like symphonic black metal sounds good. I don't listen to black metal, but it just
It's
sounds
pretty good. Have you heard of like Dimo Borgir and
Yeah.
those kind of bands? So
Yeah.
most of the members from Dimo Borgir used to play in Old Man's Child.
Okay.
Just that the vocalist is different.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're still in that world, and you know you know your stuff. So when did you think did you join? Was Blood Covenant your first band?
No, I'll tell you what. So what happened was I had another friend in college. We both kind of had similar tastes. So we kind of slowly graduated from Slipknot. We went into like Metallica,
Yeah.
and then from Metallica we went to like bands like Shadows Fall. What's that other band? I keep forgetting the names now. Yeah, the album was called Natural Born Chaos. Soilwork. Yeah, that's what it was. Soilwork. So those were like melodic stuff, and we would listen to that, and then slowly we would go to like Spencer Plaza. There was Planet M, and then there was a couple of other music stores there.
Yeah.
So we would actually go there and look at like all the different metal CDs. And, like,
Oh, really?
I wonder what this sounds like. No, that's how. Yeah. Tapes and CDs is how I got into metal.
I'm impressed that you could find that at Spencer's even.
Yeah.
Like
So there was a landmark even there. So there was one guy that knew I kind of liked metal. So he would basically tell me, give me a list of the kind of stuff that you like. Let me see if I can get it for you. And so they basically had stuff like, the Black Album, Reload. I actually bought all that stuff even from them. But then when it came to more extreme forms of metal, it was Planet M that actually delivered.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, I actually got like Suffocation's Effigy of the Forgotten in Spencer Plaza.
Dang, that was unheard of.
Exactly. Yeah. And even Immolations Here and After, I bought it in like Spencer Plaza.
Dang.
Yeah.
Is okay. So that's how. So obviously you're a generation after me, maybe. So how our generation got heavy metal music sounds like some grandpa back in our days, kids. We used to go to Burma Bazaar.
Eddie told me. Yeah, I know the story.
And I guess it's all smuggled goods. So
I know.
And you can, for 25 rupees, you will get you can get like all this albums, the bands you've never heard of. Even we just go buy. We just go buy a random. The guy will play it for us, and he liked his music. He'll play it, and he'd be like jamming out, and saying,
nice.
So we'll take his recommendation.
Nice.
So after we would do some part-time work, and we'd all go to Burma Bazaar and spend all our money on albums.
Yeah.
So when you're telling me about like Spencer's, it's more mainstream now, which is great to hear.
It is. Yeah.
You know.
Like, but awesome. For me, that was like underground, to actually find like an album, like a band like Suffocation and like Spencer Plaza, where everybody else is like picking up like a Aqua or whatever was famous at that time.
Yeah,
like,
at least it was legit. At least the band was getting some money.
Exactly. Yeah.
I owe like Sepultura, I owe Anthrax, I owe them like probably 5 rupees off of each album.
No, but then somebody did an interview. I watched an interview of I think Corpse Grinder and a couple of other bands.
Yeah.
They actually ripped the music off the internet, even though they buy the CD, because they like the digital format. They don't want to open the CDs up. So they've actually supported the band, but then they get like digital rips online, so the quality is better and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So when you were playing in college, is that where you jammed with Sheldon?
Yeah. I was already in Blood Covenant by then.
Got it.
So this was just like a fun side project that we did. we did a song. So the funny story. This was Christian cultures in WCC,
Yeah.
where all of them were singing hymns and parts and all that. And I had a T-shirt that said "R.I.P. It's never the end." That, ironically, that was from a Christian concert where we had
Sure.
like a pastor come in and like
Yeah.
basically give an altar call and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. These people looked at us like weird. We played a song from Living Sacrifice called Symbiotic. I don't know if you've heard that one.
I know the band. I don't know the
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically talks about how like our relationship with Christ is symbiotic, like you can't exist without him.
Yeah.
So it was presented in like a heavy format, right? Growling and
Sure.
things like that. And then like halfway through the breakdown, they cut the volume.
No
And they're like, these
way.
people are like satanic. Why did they come here and all that? And Sheldon got super pissed. He's like, "Who are you trying to dodge here? You know, we're all Christian band, Christian music, and we're all like Christian musicians
Yeah,
come
yeah,
here
yeah.
and all that."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. So tell us about Blood Covenant. Did you join the band, or were you part of the
No, I was
founding
not
members?
part of like the original lineup.
Yeah.
So it was originally Eddie, and then it was Brijesh,
Yeah.
the drummer, right? And then they had like a couple of guitarists
Yeah.
throughout their journey. So they had a guitarist called Shakti, who used to play with them, and then Timmy joined with them, right?
Which
And
Timmy?
So Timmy Elliott, Tim Elliott.
Okay. Got. Okay.
Tim Elliott. So they were doing their thing, and then so myself and my friend, we used to jam together. We used to go to all these college culturals, right? So Sarang was like the biggest one. At least you can dress metal there, and you can
Yeah.
go and like listen to whatever and headbang or whatever, right? That and Deepwoods. Everything else sucked, right? What else? There was no other college.
Yeah.
You can't go and do that in Stella Maris. They'll kick you
Yeah.
out. Look at these fellas headbanging here. And all that.
Yeah.
So when my friend, he met the bassist at that time, which was Sibi Boycott. He met him, and then they basically got to talking, and then they were like, we play Christian metal, and so there was like Sibi was like, yeah, even we play Christian metal. We have a band. It's called Blood Covenant. We've heard of that name before.
Yeah.
Because people have told us there's like an extreme metal band in Chennai. We refused to believe it.
Yeah.
Because what extreme metal are you going
Yeah.
to find like in
Yeah.
Chennai?
Yeah.
Because no, when I say extreme metal, I mean like blasts at like 240,
Sure.
250, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because when you like old school death metal like Cancer and like
Yeah.
what was the band that you guys were into? Bonesa, or what was the band? Autopsy.
Autopsy, Sepultura,
Yeah.
Obituary.
Yeah, so those were more like thrash beats, right?
Yeah.
So we call those are like more like old school death metal. But
Yeah.
when I say extreme metal, I mean like these guys are literally blasting at like 240, 250.
Yeah.
So Sibi was like, why don't you come and see us practice? And I think that was a very kind gesture on his part. And those
Yeah.
guys were like always super, welcoming, super kind.
Yeah.
No attitude, For the level of musicianship that they had, they literally had zero attitude.
Yeah.
When you find guys who can play like
Yeah. Yeah.
80% less of them than what they can play,
Yeah.
lifting their heads in the clouds and walking,
Yeah.
So he invited my friend, and then my friend was like, "Come, let's go. We'll go see what they do." So this was in Oteri, in Eddie's sister's place.
Oh,
They
okay.
used to practice there, right?
Yeah.
So my friend and I, we went, and then dude, these guys played Scrolls of the Megaloth from Mortification.
Yeah.
And when I saw them play, dude, I was like,
Yeah.
dang, this is like amazing, because Brijesh is like a monster on the drums, dude.
Yes.
Because he literally learned from like most of the extreme metal drummers. He took, I think he even took lessons from Derek Roddy at some point. So
I don't
Derek
know who
Roddy is
that
a very prominent death metal drummer.
Okay.
So that guy, and then there's other guys, like he had a lot of influences, like Inferno from Behemoth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when I saw these guys play, I'm like, dang, these guys are
Yeah.
awesome. And so we got to talking after the jam session, and then Brijesh doesn't like me saying jam session. He's like, it's practice because it's more focused that way, right? So
Yes.
yeah. After the practice, we were talking, and then I was like, yeah, even I play guitar, and I'm kind of interested in forming my own band and things like that. So then Brijesh was like, yeah, sure, why don't you come and we can jam together sometime. I mean, look at the
Yeah.
attitude, right? How welcoming and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So basically then we started going to Brijesh's house and
Yeah.
jamming there, and then that's when they invited me to join Blood Covenant. That's how I actually
Nice.
ended up joining Blood Covenant.
Nice. And tell
Yeah.
us about not many people. I would say not many people. That's not the right way. Like for those who don't know about Blood Covenant,
Mhm.
let us like what was it about? What were you guys into? What was because you guys were a pretty famous band in the underground scene, at least
Yeah.
that's my understanding,
Yeah.
right? And you toured a lot. You like
Yeah.
people knew you guys, right? You were it, now extreme metal is probably not as uncommon, but it's still in its infant stage, I would say. And
I
you guys
mean,
are part of the scene who
yeah.
helped surface
Yeah.
it a bit more, right?
I would actually focus on you guys because I think it was guys like you who actually, started the scene even, right?
Yeah,
Like with Bonesaw, and I think Eddie would tell me about Blasphemy,
yeah,
and you guys were talking about Cemetery. I've not seen Cemetery playing before, but I think it started from you guys, right?
yeah,
And I think Blood Covenant was an offshoot of that.
yeah,
It because there was a need for like extreme metal because anybody can like pick up the guitar and play like Metallica or whatever now.
yeah,
Because at that stage, people like the skill has improved a lot,
yeah,
right? Because they
yeah,
they practice a lot, they go for classes and things
yeah,
like that. But when it came to extreme metal, there was a huge
yeah,
lacuna there. So I think that's how Eddie came about with the idea. And then by that time, Eddie was more, you know, Christian,
yeah.
if I can put it like that. He was more,
Sure.
biblical and things like
Yeah.
that, right? So the hair here went and the hair started growing here. And then, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So Blood Covenant is basically this is just like the verse from when Jesus said, this is the new covenant of
yeah,
my blood, right?
yeah,
So that's what the name of Blood Covenant is. And so initially they started with like covers. They started like with Living Sacrifice and Extol and bands like that. And that's how the bands, went about playing shows and things like that. Yeah.
yeah. So what is the best gigs, like the biggest gigs you would play? Did you guys leave in? I know you were. I'm not sure it was. I know you left the band, but did you get to travel outside the country
No,
and
I
play?
didn't. I didn't. No,
Okay.
no, no. It was a tough decision for me, that one.
Yeah.
We'll probably get to that once we finish
Y-
with
Yeah, yeah,
our
yeah,
Blood Covenant thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, Blood Covenant never got a chance to go outside of the country and play. Like I said, since it was an offshoot from what you guys were already doing,
yeah,
it was still pretty primitive.
yeah,
Because if you ask me what I regret, like with Blood Covenant, it would be us not giving enough time to like write our own material.
yeah,
Um, Also because I think as you play and as you grow as a guitar player, you mature. That's when your songwriting also
yeah,
improves, right?
yeah,
Because back then anything I would write would sound tripe. I
yeah,
just want to throw it out the window. I'm like,
yeah.
this sounds like crap. I don't want anybody to hear this, right? So
Yes.
I think most of the riffs that we came up with back then was put off because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
The funny thing is, I'm not sure if Eddie told you this, but when we formed Bonesaw, right, we were going
Uh-huh.
to be at some point in time, we just started off to just be a band, but at some
Yeah.
point we kind of like, okay, it's going to be, we wanted very metal lyrics, and we were probably straying anti-Christian at some point in
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
But we had a friend who went to Bible college,
Right.
right? His name is Aaron, and
Okay.
he was a good writer, so he
Uh-huh.
would write lyrics for us, but Christian lyrics, but would sound very metal. And because
Oh,
I
nice.
can speak for myself, not a very bright person, I'll
Okay.
see these big words, and I'll say that sounds metal, dude, because
but
he'll write
yeah,
these raw stories from the Bible,
Sure,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And we thought we were singing the most anti-rebellious songs,
Yeah.
anti-religion
Yeah.
songs, but it was strictly very theologically
Yeah.
sound, written by a biblical scholar.
Yeah. No, but see, most of the content in the Bible itself is very metal, Like if you look
Yes.
at the sacrifice of Christ itself or the
Yes.
passion of Christ, it's
Yeah.
super metal.
Yes.
Like there are very niche bands that have actually gone into uh, taking on like what were the medical conditions that Christ went through in the Garden of Gethsemane, and they've actually written songs about that. So like the whole like most of the topics in there are pretty brutal actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny, man. So what? Tell us the best gig, worst gig story.
Oh, I mean, it's been a couple of years now since I played with Blood Covenant. I think the best gigs that we played were in Chennai only.
Mm.
It's when actually, you know what? I stand corrected. The best gig that we played was like the very first gig that I played with Blood Covenant was in Pune. They had something called the Pune Death Fest. Oh, that show was mad. That was like the first time I'm actually playing in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
Super nervous. I was not like fully, capable of playing all the songs that they were playing, the
Sure.
entire set list. So they gave me like 2 or 3 songs to play, if I remember correctly. That was like the first experience, and the hall was packed. It was good, and it was a good lineup also. There was lots of bands that were happening in the scene at that time
Yeah.
that were playing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
even Eddie used to conduct these shows in this place called KRMM. There's a college. He used to hire the hall there. And then one of the best ones was it was called Two Bloody Nights. It was like literally 2 nights of like 10 bands each from like different parts of the country that would come in. These were bands that were not famous back
Yeah.
then, that are super famous now.
Yeah.
Right? So back then it was just like a very, very tiny scene, and
Yeah.
people are just willing to go and play wherever, right? So yeah.
Yeah. What was the most embarrassing thing that did you mess up really big? Did you
Oh,
have any
dude, I've had like a
bad
pick
moments?
fall out of my hands so many times. So
Not for metal. You
yeah,
can
yeah,
survive other genres.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So I learned to actually play with like the tip of my index finger.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will actually literally play when the pick falls out of my
Did you ever
hand.
transition to the 3-finger hold, or do you use?
No, I have like this very weird a way that I hold the pick. I kind
Yeah.
of hold it perpendicular to the strings like that. That
Yeah.
helps me to like tremolo pick a lot.
Yeah.
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 And
So
so,
did you ever, yeah,
yeah,
tell
go
me.
ahead,
Yeah,
go.
the pick
Go
fell
ahead.
out
No,
of
no,
your
no.
hand. Which show was that?
Many shows, many shows. Super nervous I'll be, hands will be
Yeah.
sweating and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then missed chord, playing the chords at the right time so many times. But
Yeah.
because there's so much of compression, like with the
Yeah.
distortion, nobody knows. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but the
It
timing.
passes.
But you guys, I sat in when you guys were practicing once. I mean, you guys were playing like just complex stuff.
Yeah.
If you're out of that scene and you pick up the guitar after like even 2 months,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And if you miss a beat, trying to get back into that slot is not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, it is.
You guys
It
are
is.
playing some
Yeah.
complex stuff.
Yeah. So Blood Covenant focused on a lot of like triplet picking with like and also incorporating a lot of like polyrhythm stuff into the
Yeah.
into the playing
So
style.
did you take lessons?
No. Everything I did, I just do it by ear.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the most? Was anybody musically trained other than Brijesh, the drummer, Brijesh, right?
Yeah. I think I don't know if Timmy went for classes, but dude, he's a beast on the guitar.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when it comes to like the diminished scales and stuff like that. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because somebody knows something in that band. I mean, a lot of people know something. Somebody was trained because that level of.
I mean, so there's a band called Gorguts. I don't know if you've heard about them. So the founder of the band, his name is Luke LeMay. So I kind of stood with what he said for many years. He said to be a good musician, you don't have to be trained.
Yeah.
As long as you're like able to create complex music.
Yeah.
It works out fine. So that's the motto that I held on to for a very long time.
Yeah. And I think what you said initially when you started off, I think that's where music comes from. You said you had something in your mind and you wanted to see if you can get it on the guitar. And really, training helps, but ideally, if you have something in your mind and you're not picking up the guitar and forcing something. You're just trying to translate what you hear into the guitar, and that's where it can sound beautiful. It can sound complex, but that's not the source to create something beautiful or complex. You're just translating what you hear in your mind, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome, dude. So tell me, what else are you into other than your music? You don't have time for anything else, given the work that you do.
No, I was super into motorcycling as well.
Yes, tell us about. Yes, I know you're. Tell us about your what. Before we dive into that, what was your rig for like Blood Covenant? What was your main rig?
Okay, so initially it was like this Gibson Super Deluxe guitar. And
Yeah.
then my dad bought me this Zoom 707 processor,
Okay.
which is 8,000
Nice.
bucks back then, was like a
Yeah.
huge deal,
Yeah.
But then it had like a lot of fret buzz issues and things like that because of the single coil, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
then again, so my
Single
aunt
coil
was
metal, dude.
yeah, seriously. So my aunt was kind enough to like buy me my first 3 guitars. So the second one that she bought me was this BC Rich Beast,
Nice.
which I'm
Yes.
super lucky to get.
Yeah.
If if I was to buy it now,
Yeah.
I've seen listings on Reverb for almost like 2,000 euros and things like that.
Yeah.
Like used ones, the same,
Yeah.
the same model.
Does it have a binding, or is it all black?
It has a binding.
Oh
It
yeah.
has a binding. So it's like a
Nice.
matte finish with like cream binding on it.
Oh yeah.
And then so it had this technology that's called IT, Invisibolt is what they called it. So it's in between like a set neck and a
Okay.
bolt on. I
Okay.
don't want to get too nerdy. Am I sounding too
Sure.
nerdy?
No.
No. So
Go for
it's mated to the body halfway. So it's not a bolt on, and it's not all the way for it to be like a neck through, right? So
Yeah.
it's bolted onto the body just under the pickups.
Oh really?
So you
Okay.
get, and so the profile on the neck at the back is exactly like a neck through.
The neck through. Yeah.
Neck
Okay.
through
Yeah.
profile. So it came with standard BCH pickups, which I liked for a while, but they were okay. So what I used was Boss GT8. Timmy had the same thing, and then so back then it was Pod XT Live, right?
Yep.
And Boss GT8, and then I was leaning more towards the Pod, but I'm glad I bought the Boss. I'm kind of like a Boss guy now.
Yeah.
I just like I think they do amp modeling really well.
Yeah.
Like this thing is like almost like 18 years old now. It still
Dang.
has like nice,
Yeah.
like a nice Mesa Boogie and 5150
Yeah.
sound Marshall.
Yeah.
So I use that whenever I feel like playing metal. So
Yeah.
that was my main setup, and then later on I kind of transitioned into with my other band. I joined another band later, Model Putrefaction. So I got like a pedal setup, just like 4 simple, very very simple,
Sure.
just
Yeah.
like one go-go tuner, and then like what was it? Line 6 Uber Metal pedal,
Yep.
and then like this really crappy Joyo Ironman delay, which I hated every time I used. And then this noise gate called Sentry by TC Electronic,
Okay. Yeah.
which I hardly used because the Line 6 actually had its own like noise gate. So I would use that.
What
And
amp
then-
did you have? Oh, were you using?
No. So I'll tell you.
Zoom.
So how it works in India is most of the time the show organizer will get
Okay.
the
Yeah.
amps for you, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we played in Bangalore with my other band, they would always get us like some really nice amps. Either
Nice.
like solid state, whatever,
Yeah.
like a 412 combo with a head,
Yeah.
or like a combo tube amp or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's the best. You don't have to lug lug your amp
Oh,
around.
trust me, dude. Imagine carrying like an amp head around
Yeah.
in a place like
And
India. Yeah.
watching the guys on the train like just throwing it into.
Seriously. And you can't even trust and take it on the aircraft, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the very first show that we did, I'm so glad I had like a hard case with I had to end up getting a Gator. It's called the
Yeah.
Gator Extreme.
Yeah.
Because that's the only case that fits that BC Rich
Yeah.
Beast model.
Yeah.
So I went to when we returned from playing in Pune, I went to the guy who's getting the luggage off the conveyor belt. I'm like, my guitar will be coming now. Please call me. I will lift it off the belt. You don't even have to lift it. He's like, okay, sir, I'll call you. I just walked away, dude. He just flung it from there.
My
From
guitar
then I
is
have like
BC rich.
Yeah,
I am BC poor, dude.
yeah, you're making me BC poor, seriously. Yeah.
So, are you a good cook, Ronald?
I am. I'll tell you why. Because I started cooking because of using it as a stress buster during my PhD. Used to be super stressed, and then I found that trying to create something in the kitchen
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
relieved me of my stress a lot.
Yeah.
So
What are you famous for?
I'm a biryani master now.
Oh, dang. Vegetable biryani? No, I'm joking.
No, dude.
What
Yeah.
what do you cook? Chicken or
So
all
usually
kinds?
chicken. At home
Yeah.
we kind of stray away from like mutton because it's like super fatty and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So
Dang, chicken biryani,
yeah.
man. That I I am cursed. Like maybe it's not the right word, but two of my favorite things that I love to eat, I cannot cook. One is biryani. I love it. I would eat that all day if I could. I cannot
Yeah.
cook it though. And kalkals, I love it.
Oh
Cannot make
wow.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I if I can learn to make those two things, I'll be very happy. I'll be so
Yeah. I mean, I can
kalkal.
help you with the biryani part. Kalkals,
Yeah.
I don't know. I always screwed up when I'm rolling it
Have you ever
on the
seen
foot.
that? Have you ever seen this classic YouTube channel? It's called Black Metal Chef.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Dude, you should start the
What was it called? No, wasn't it vegan black metal
vegan
chef or
black metal
something? Yeah.
chef. Yes, you
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
start the Indian
Yeah. I mean, this is like
Indian
too
food
much work.
channel.
I
Yeah,
feel, Conrad. Like
yeah,
every week you'll have to put out one dish and all that.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm kind of concentrating more on like my
yeah.
content creation for like the biology thing now.
I think you
So
should. I think that's better.
yeah, yeah,
So tell us about your biking.
yeah. So I got into like bikes when I was pretty young. Actually, my dad would bring like this kinetic Honda
Yeah,
from work, and then he would let me just ride it
yeah, yeah,
around the house and things like that. I was like what 6 7 years old, little tiny little child.
yeah,
This heavy bike, he would always be afraid. He's
yeah,
like, if it falls on your leg, it'll actually
yeah.
sever your leg. But then I would take it. So we had two Maidans in this place called
Maidan.
Veteran Lines. I don't know if you've heard of Veteran
I
Lines. It's
know
very
the
close to the.
name. Yes.
Yeah, we lived there for almost like maybe 12 13 years, I guess.
Hmm.
That's like it's an Anglo-Indian, community
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the people have kind of moved away to like
Mm.
Australia and US and things like that. So I would take the bike and then I would go to the Maidan and then go around, try to like skid it about and things like that. Yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
kind of got into bikes.
Yeah.
When I passed my 10th standard, they actually got me this bike called the Suzuki Max 100R.
Dude, I had the same thing. Yes.
Yeah, I had like a blue one, and then I would like rip it around everywhere. It was a fun bike to ride. I was
Yeah.
super squiddy with it, going
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in between the lorries and things like
Oh
that.
my
But
God.
thinking
Yes.
about it now, I'm like,
Yeah.
why did I even,
Yeah.
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 But then when I got into, I think it was second year college, I kind of liked Enfields for some reason. Just like the fact that they're like super heavy,
Yeah.
right? And there weren't any other bigger bikes
Yeah.
back then.
That was
right?
a man's bike.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when I looked at the Thunderbird, especially fell in love with it. And I
Yeah.
started like, asking, and then like begging and crying. Then they were like, okay, fine, go and buy it. I actually was insistent that I wanted to buy the model without the electric start because I felt like if I want to like master this bike, I need to like kickstart it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, and I had to like learn how to kickstart that thing.
Yeah.
I had my shoes flying in the air so many times because of the kickback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, every man who had an Enfield had a mustache. That
Exactly,
was
yeah.
You need to have a
Yeah.
mustache to ride that bike.
Yeah,
If you
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man. So you got a Thunderbird. Those are nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So mine's like a 2006 Thunderbird. I got it recently restored.
Nice.
I got it like repainted, and you
Yeah.
have to like renew the registration like every 15 years here in India.
Oh,
So I
really?
got that done. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And then do you have friends? Is there like a biking club? Are you part of a club, or do you just you and your friends go on bike rides?
We just friends going together, going together on like long distances,
Yeah.
exploring places. The
Yeah.
motivating factor for us was what hotel food tastes the best.
Mm.
So we would plan our trip that way.
Yeah.
So in 2015, we did like one of the biggest ones that we ever did,
Yeah.
which was from Chennai to Madurai, then Kutralam, Kanyakumari,
Oh wow!
Thoothukudi, Rameshwaram, and then back.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's a trip. Man.
Yeah, that was like a 5-day trip. Super fun it was. Yeah,
Dang.
2,000 kilometers up and down.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. I love that, man. One of the best trips of my life. Myself and my cousin on my Max 100R from
Nice.
here.
Yeah.
We went to Bangalore. We were there in 8 hours, but coming back from Bangalore to Madras, it took us 2 days because
Oh wow.
because we just were riding open road. We were like, where does that
Nice.
road go? Let's go
Nice,
find
nice,
out
nice, nice.
what is
Yeah.
this. Look at that hill over there. Let's go explore. It took us
Yeah.
2 days, dude. We probably did not sleep much even.
Yeah, yeah.
That trip. Tell me about it, man. What do you like? What's the thrill? What do you get out of it?
So for me, for like some of my friends, it's actually the destination.
Yeah,
Because they're like, okay, we're going to this place and we're riding
yeah,
there, and then that's how it works for them. For me, it's actually I like the journey itself, because I'm
yeah,
connecting with the motorcycle,
yeah,
and as the RPM reaches a certain level,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You become one with the machine,
yeah,
and then I kind of sometimes I open my helmet up, and when I
yeah,
listen to the engine,
yeah,
like what kind of sounds it's making, like
yeah,
because mine is what you call like a pre-construction engine, so it has like 3 different units mated together. So like you have the engine, the gearbox, and the clutch together. It's not like one single unit, right?
yeah.
So each of them have their own different sounds.
Oh
So as
wow,
I'm
yeah,
riding, I like listen to that, and then that's like the smell of the oil burning
yeah,
as you're going.
yeah,
If you've like filled in like new oil in the engine,
yeah,
as you're riding, it heats up, right, and it gives you the smell,
yeah,
and then oh, it's an amazing feeling. And then of
yeah,
course, as you're like cruising, you're like not in a hurry to go anywhere, right? So
yeah,
just that thing, you just connect with the machine, and you just keep going and going and going and going,
yeah,
and that's what
yeah.
appeals to me the most.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too. I like the whole journey part of it as well. Like
yeah,
I don't the destinations are nice, but I have more fun just riding.
exactly. Yeah,
You know, I just need to stop for rest and sleep
yeah,
and explore
yeah,
the beauty of wherever I am. The riding is super cool, man.
yeah.
So what you have some expensive hobbies.
I do. I do. I started collecting pointy guitars as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, but now I stopped. Once I quit the band, I stopped. I was fortunate enough to find some nice guitars that were hidden away.
yeah,
So most of them I found like on this website called Raj Musicals. They had like all these old unsold BC Rich guitars, which are like brand new in the box. Nobody even considered
dang.
buying them.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I kind of bought them off from them, and then even from Shruti Musicals, I found one super nice guitar that yeah.
How easy it is as a metal guitarist in Madras? How easy it is to find? Obviously, but when you were starting off, like right, how easy was it to find guitar gear for metal? Is there big
If you,
support for metal musicians?
I mean, metal musicians are always looked down upon,
Yeah,
because like the thing is, people think about metal musicians as people who only play E palm muted,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because we had a person who was a blues player.
yeah,
He was like, I want to join your band. Okay, we come over, let's have an audition.
yeah,
And we called him, and then all he was doing was palm muting on E,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
then like the drummer Brijesh was like, this is not what metal is, bro.
yeah,
Like you have to
yeah,
actually like. And then we played something for him, and I was like, are you actually like playing that? I mean, are you like actually developing? What do you think, dude? See,
yeah,
just because the tones are on the lower side of the guitar, it doesn't make you any lesser of a musician, right?
yeah, yeah,
You get what I mean, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's complex, man. So
Yeah.
last, I have 2 more questions for you. I asked
Yeah.
this. What about Yezdis? Were you ever into Yezdis?
My dad was like super into ESDs.
Yeah.
He had a ESD.
Mm.
He had a Road King.
Oh yeah.
He would ride that thing everywhere. And the sad thing is, he had to literally sell it when I was born.
Oh
He's like,
man.
no more ESDs. We need
Yeah.
to get like a comfortable motorcycle.
Yeah.
He would tell me he would literally change like the clutch cable and the accelerator
Oh,
cable
wow.
himself. They would actually sell the cable inner, right? Those days, you don't have to change the entire cable. Like nowadays, they just sell you like the seal thing. You have to change like the entire
Yeah.
cable. Back then, they would just sell you like the inner wire, and you can like cut it to length, and then you can fix it on your bike. So he
That's
would do
when
that.
Men rode
Men
motorcycles.
were men, seriously. That's when they tell you tell you how to change the oil on in your owner's manual.
Dude,
Yeah.
so you get do you think you get your scientific mind and that from your dad, like that you seem to nerd out on things, which is good. Everybody needs to nerd out on us
Yeah.
on a couple of topics.
Yeah.
You know, do you get that from your dad since he was more hands on?
I would like to hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he nerded out when he was young, and he actually built his own guitar and stuff like that.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He and his
okay.
friend together, they built their own acoustic
Okay.
guitar, just like as a project.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But then life's worries get in the way, right? And then
Yeah. Yeah.
your creative mind slowly goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last question.
Yeah.
This is probably, I'm not sure. You're from a different generation, but let's see.
Uh,
Did you ever fly kites? Did you play marbles? Did you play top? And
yes, I've done all those things.
is there anyone in your family who's a boxer?
No, there's not
Okay.
that I know of. Not
Okay.
that I know of.
Wait,
Probably there would be somebody
yeah.
that's a
So-
boxer.
So does your generation still play marbles and top? Is that still a thing?
No, it isn't. It isn't.
No?
Now everybody's like buying PS5s and
Yeah.
sitting in the, or they're playing PUBG on their phone now.
So you were the
I don't know.
last generation probably that got
Yeah.
to play all
Yeah,
those
yeah,
things?
yeah. I played marbles when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My dad is the one that taught me to like tie a kite and like how to launch
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah.
Sorry, tie a top and how to launch
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
We would actually buy the wooden ones and you would have to come home and hammer the nail into the
Oh,
Into the
yeah.
top,
There we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
There we go.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
a man's top, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I wasn't super into like flying kites. I would fly kites, maybe like during summer vacation. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't. I never used to like it when people used to come for deal and cut my kite.
Yeah.
It used to like make me super sad, so I stopped. I was a very docile child when I was small.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
where does the aggression come out from when you play all your metal?
Oh,
Take it out
I-
in your music, right?
I mean, I don't need the aggression. I've never needed the aggression.
Yeah.
It's for me like metal itself. Like for most people, they would need the alcohol to fuel the
Yeah.
to fuel the aggression for
Yeah.
for me. It's just the emotion of playing. Like
Yeah.
for me, playing metal itself is like aggressive.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you're playing so many different things on the
Yeah.
fretboard, moving up and down.
Yeah.
Like I'm not the kind of person who likes to stay within like the first 4 frets
Yeah.
and play
Yeah.
like the Phrygian move
Yeah.
from open to one. I kind of like adding like more like tremolo stuff into
Yeah.
into my writing, right? And I add like more elements like that. So yeah.
Last question, dude. Then we'll wrap it up. And
Yep.
actually, 2 more questions. Sorry. So you played. Does your dad have a church? Is that what it is? He a
No, so both my parents gave up. So my dad worked in a pest control firm, Pest Control
Okay.
India.
okay?
He worked there for a very long time, 10 years, and then he was called into ministry,
Mhm.
full-time ministry. So he had to go to like Bible school and stuff like that. So he quit his job. He went to like the UK and did his Bible course, and then he came back. So my mom was working secular for a very long time. She was working. She did hotel management.
Okay.
So she worked with like GRT and she worked
Okay.
with like Meridian and things like that. But then when the time came, they gave that up and then they started doing full-time ministry.
Yeah.
So we as a family, we work among college kids now.
Okay.
We have like Bible study with them, and if they have doubts, we like explain verse by
Okay.
verse and things like that. That's what we do right now. Yeah.
Oh, for some reason I thought you were playing guitar at your dad's church. I thought your dad was a pastor.
Oh
Eh,
no. That
Okay.
was not my dad's church. No.
Okay.
No,
Cool.
no, yeah.
Awesome. So what's the last question? What's the future for Ronald? What are you thinking about? What's your next challenge?
Okay, so I'm actually looking into making a lot of content right now. I have a couple of ideas in my mind.
Yeah.
I started with the biology channel. It's been tough though, because you have to like juggle actually earning money because you're
Yeah.
not earning money from that, right? So I have
Yeah.
to concentrate. I concentrate on I teach guitar. I've been doing that for
Yeah.
the last 10 years now.
Awesome.
So that's what made me get into like theory.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
just not like this dumb metal player that's playing only on the top 3 strings, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But then I concentrate on that a lot, and I have to like. And plus, we have our ministry, and so I'm trying to juggle all that, and I'm trying to find like a
Yeah.
suitable time to
Yeah.
create content. But I have in mind to create content in a couple of different topics. So that's
Awesome.
what I have in mind right
Do
now.
you
Yeah.
do you teach guitar online or do they?
Yes,
have
I
to
do
be in
teach it
person?
online. I teach it online.
Okay.
It's a one-on-one class. I teach through Zoom.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, if there's anybody who wants to play at church or metal,
Yeah.
hit Ronald up. He'll
Yep.
share his channel and his links. I'll put in the description.
Yep.
Get a lesson from Ronald. Dude, Ronald, thank you so much, man.
Thank you,
Good to
Conrad.
chat with you. I learned a
Yes.
lot. Man, thank you
Indeed.
for all the free lessons on mosquitoes and dengue. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. And praying
Yeah.
mantid.
Yeah.
Praying mantid. Yeah, fascinating information. Thanks, dude.
Indeed,
Enjoy.
indeed.
Have
Yeah.
a good one.